Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today it's time to represent our guild and rid the forest of monsters in Kingswood. Kingswood here is a pretty straightforward resource management and monster slaying game. You are racing to a certain number of victory points, and you are going to be managing your various resources. You've got swords and spell books, your gold coins, things like that. And whoever makes the most points, of course, is going to be the winner. The box, as you can see here, is quite lovely. Some foiling on the title as well as on the side, actually. You can see that, I think. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. I'm going to show you a brief overview of how the game plays. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. To set up the game, we're going to shuffle up all of these locations besides the 5 starting ones. We're going to select one, shuffle it into the 5 starting ones, and then put them out here randomly in a large circle. In this game, we ended up with the Witch's Hut over here. This one is from the special deck of locations. The other ones are always in play. Once we've done that, we are then going to set out all the different piles of goods. We're going to put one of these characters at each of these 3 locations, Tavern, Academy, and Blacksmith. And each player is going to select what faction or what character they'd like to play. So for example, if I want to play Crom here, I am going to select the card. I am going to start with a pool of resources. So I have 2 spell books, which begin exhausted. I'll explain that in a sec. 1 sword, 2 coins, and I also make sure that my matching scoring token here is on the track right off of it. All right, so that's basically it. So I'm going to put my pool of resources right over here. That's what I've got. This is my card, and everybody has a special ability as well. The other players in the game, which would be these other colors, everybody would basically just select their own character. They have their own special ability, their own starting pool of resources. And you are good to go. So the game is going to play in successive rounds until someone gets to 20. When someone gets to 20 or passes it, we finish out the round. We score any endgame bonus points, and whoever has the most points is going to be the winner of the game. So how does it work? Well, on your turn, you are going to do one of 2 things. But normally you do one thing. And that thing is, you pick one of these guys, one of these characters. You may do the action at their location. Once that's done, you will move them in either direction, and then you'll possibly take the action of where they stop. Okay? So let me break that down a little bit more. Let's say I start with Crom over here. I begin right there. So I am going to choose this character. It says I may pay 1 coin to refresh all my swords, or I may pay 1 coin to gain 1 sword. I'm going to do that one. So I'm going to pay a coin, put that coin back. I'm going to take a sword, and once that's done, I'm going to move the character. I can go again in either direction. If I want to skip over any spaces, that's going to cost me a coin, and I cannot stop where there is another figure. So if I decided to go this way, I would have to pay 1, 2 coins to skip these 2. Can't do that. Wasn't planning on it, so I'm going to go that way instead without skipping any. I'm just going to go there. The ability here is take 3 coins. 1, 2, 3. And then, to finish my turn, I am going to put the King's Guard in the location from which the character left. Meaning right here. Meaning it blocks that spot and behaves just like one of these for the purposes of stopping there. You cannot pick this one up and move it, but it will block that location. All right, and you might have to pay to skip it and so on. So there you go. That's the main action, and all of these places are pretty straightforward. This one lets you get the 3 coins. This one's swords. You refresh them all or gain a new one. Refresh all your spell books or gain a new one. Refresh all your hearts or gain a new one. This one is the ever-changing one. I'll come back to it. And then this one, the forest, is where you fight the monsters, where you're spending all of these things you're collecting, and where you're earning victory points. But before I get to that, the second ability. I explained the first action you may do, which is pick a guy, do the action, move, do the action again. The other thing you can do, which is very rare, is you may instead take the guard, remove it from the board, put it back in the pool, and take 2 coins. That's it. And you may do that because you really don't have money, cannot afford to pay to move around, and this character happens to be blocking that spot, let's say, so you have to do it, right? There's no way to get money. You remove it and get at least 2 coins out of it. So that's how that works. But you'll do that, like I said, rarely. Now let's take a look over here at the forest. The forest says you may fight any number of revealed monsters. The monsters, such as this cute little goblin gang, they're going to show you what you need to pay to defeat them. A special ability, if any. These guys don't have any. It's just, it's a reminder there. And then victory points at the bottom of the card. All right? So, if I decided to, on my next turn, the players move some things around, and now it's me again with Crom over here. I might start there, get my 3 coins, and then move to here and activate that ability. I am going to attack this moon sprite. It says I pay 1 coin and 1 sword. The coins go away. Everything else, the hearts, the spell books, the swords, are exhausted instead. I don't lose them, they're just spent. Just like that. And then I read if there's any text on here. It says, reveal and add an extra monster to the forest. Fantastic, because that doesn't happen until the end of my attack. I could attack 1, 2, 3 at most, and then they are replenished once my turn is over. But killing a moon sprite here means I get to look at 1 more monster, possibly keep going. So there we go, and that's 1 point. It says 1 at the bottom, so I'm going to give myself 1 victory point there. Set this aside somewhere for myself, and I may keep going. Now, in this case, I don't have any, I have a sword that's ready, but I have no hearts, so I cannot keep going. My turn is done. My character originally left from here, so I'll move the guard there. And that's basically it. All right, now my character does have a special ability that says whenever I exhaust a heart, I get to refresh a spell book. But I'd have to make sure I end up over here first and buy some hearts for that to even start working for me. So there you go. The one I've skipped is the Witch's Hut. Let's take a look at that. It says use the ability of the location at the King's Guard, which means if I activate that, I get to take 3 coins in this case. Or if he's here, obviously I get to do this and so on. And like I said, there's a bunch of different locations in here that you'll always have 1 in play. This one is pay 1 coin, refresh up to 1 of each of the 3 symbols. So 1 heart, 1 sword, 1 spell book. The Wizard's Tower here says refresh 1 spell book, and you can look at the top monster card. You may defeat that monster immediately. Very cool. Refresh 1 heart and capture a monster from the forest. This is the bakery. Get it? Here we've got Manor House. You get to refresh 1 sword or refresh 1 spell book, but only 1. So it's a little more versatile, but it's just 1. They let you pay for new things. The graveyard here is interesting. Swap a monster you have defeated for a monster in the forest that is worth 1 more fame than the one you're giving back. So that's very cool. And some of these monsters score based off of each other. So for example, the Goblin Gang here says that Goblin Bullies, it reminds you that if you have a Goblin Bully, they make the Goblin Gangs score a little bit more. And you'll see that the deck is split into Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, which you set up based on the number of players. So there you go. That's it. It's an exceedingly simple, straightforward game with a little resource management, a little manipulation, and getting these combos of goodies correct so you can attack and score some victory points. So there you go, folks. That's going to be it for this one. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of Kingswood. The designer of this game is the same person who designed Parks, a lovely game about visiting the national parks. But before that, they designed a game called Space Park, no real relation there, which was about visiting places in space with your little rockets. And there is a very, very clear inspiration / connection between the way Space Park works and Kingswood here. You've got 3 rockets. You activate where it is. It moves. And in that game, it happens to only be in one direction. In this one, you can go either way. In this one, you activate where you started and where you ended, which was not a thing in the original one. So there are clear parallels here. I like the original game. I rated a 7 out of 10. And at the end of the day, there are things I like in this one more and things I like in Space Park more. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into it. But I wanted to give you that just in case maybe you've played that game or you've heard of it and you're looking at the overview thinking, wait a second, this looks kind of familiar. There you go, now you know why. All right, let's start right from the top with the theme. It's cute, if a little worn and dusty. So it lacks specificity at the end of the day, and I think that's the biggest hit against it. It's well done, it's attractive, it's cute, but it is, it's worn. It's a little tired, okay? The aesthetics are lovely. Everything looks good. The wooden characters are nice. All the cardboard is great. The cards have lovely illustrations on them. They are good quality cards. No issues with the components or the aesthetics here. Replay value is solid, and I would say it's possibly a little bit higher than the game that this was inspired by, because you've got that one rotating location. You are doing more on your turn. The management and the special ability you have is going to allow you to maybe pick a different guild next time and have a slightly different game. So while the game plays out in largely the same way, the beats along the way are going to be different. So I think the replayability here is decent. Game arc. I had the same issue with the original one as I do with this. I just don't like games that have a target score like this without a lot of endgame scoring. Because you can kind of see the game end coming. You can sort of tell who's going to be winning maybe a few turns in advance before that actually happens. This one has a little bit of endgame scoring, but not a ton. So the game arc feels scripted a bit. Not to say that, so-and-so is the start player, they're going to win, therefore. That's not what I mean. I don't mean scripted that way. I mean that you can kind of just feel it coming down, see that train coming, and finally, when it does happen, you were like, yep, I knew 3 rounds ago that you were going to win because you were this close and you had what you needed to go there and do that. More endgame scoring, more hidden scoring would be nice. That's what I would prefer. And I think that would help the game arc keep its tension. Ease of play. Very smooth. Straightforward. Clean. The mechanisms in this are nice. They're lovely. Again, I've seen them in that other game, but here they are in hands. And I would say, mechanically speaking, this is a better game than the first stab that this designer took at the idea of sort of communal worker placement, if you would, right? This one does that better. Lastly, tactics, strategy, luck. It's cute. It's engaging. It's a simple game, certainly, but there is a nice cadence, a nice flow to it, and you are ultimately doing the same thing as everybody else, which is try to do as much as you can with fewer actions, right? If I can go to the forest and take out 3 monsters, that's a better turn than you going to the forest and taking out 1. Right? If I go and pay 1 coin and refresh 4 swords, that's better than you are still at the stage where you're paying 1 coin and earning 1 new sword. I'm getting more for my coin. You have to build to that, certainly. But that's the idea. So I think that's a nice concept. It's very transparent, right? I mean, it's easy to see. You know what you're doing. There is no great discovery in this game, but it still is very pleasant. And at the end of the day, I think that's one of the best words to describe this game. I think it's a very pleasant, resource management, family-esque kind of game. It works well. Now, like I said, the original game I rate a 7 out of 10. This one, I don't like the theme as much. I think the components in the original one are even better. But it's a solid game. And so this is going to get a solid 7.5 out of 10 from me. It's just a little bit better than the original because mechanically it's more robust. It's a little more engaging. There's more to do. So 7.5 out of 10. that means this is going to get a seal of approval from me, and I certainly recommend it. If you don't mind this theme, if you enjoyed that overview and you thought the game looked good, I think you're going to find a lot of joy in this one. It's very simple, it's very pure of a game, and it certainly will bring you some smiles. So there you go. That is Kingswood. I'm Zee Garcia. Thanks everybody for checking this out. I'll see you on the next one.